Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Once again, we're here on another podcast. I've got here Maulana Khabab and a guest, an expert in parenting, person who's been through parenting, and person who's here to just tell you some few things about parenting.
MashaAllah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yeah, so MashaAllah, as Brother Thabit have just introduced us, we have our brother Imran, MashaAllah, who has so Brother Imran, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah for having me. I know we've been having this discussion that we need to come on and do something.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, Allah's called us today.
Like inshallah, like we mentioned, I think a few podcasts ago that we would like to have podcasts on different topics and inshallah calling different guests in. So we've had Brother Ibrahim in one of the previous podcasts as well, mashallah, from Moving Ahead team. And now, mashallah, we have yourself and we've got a few other guests, inshallah, in the next few weeks who, inshallah. But due to, as we know, in the last few days, all this Palestine, Gaza issue that we have been going through, Allah make it easy. So that's why things have been just focused on Palestine. And it should be, they are going through a lot at the moment and subhanallah, Allah help them. That's the, that's if, we are not even making dua for them, if we are not even like crying in front of Allah for them, then what are we actually doing? Like we can't do much, practically. So Allah make it easy, wherever the Ummah is suffering, especially at this moment in time, in Gaza and Palestine and everywhere else where they have been suffering for a while as well. And Allah take all the suffering away from the Ummah. So, Brother Imran, mashallah, our guest today. If you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and then inshallah we'll carry on the discussion.
So I think parenting, it's a huge topic, and the reason why I really got interested in parenting is after I had my first child. So obviously we were seeing her grow up, and then because of my profession, I was seeing lots of things happening in schools, and then parents and kids coming to me, and I just said to my wife, I don't think I can send my daughter to these schools anymore, because when we were growing up it was different. Now schools are very, very different. So that's when we decided that we're not going to send our kids to school. Well, at that time it was only one, and then we wanted to learn about parenting, but we didn't know anything. So then we went and enrolled onto a course, me and my wife together.
Mashallah.
And then from there, alhamdulillah, the journey's been amazing. We've really seen the fruits. So,
And this course was local? Did you go anywhere special?
no, so it was an online course because it was during COVID.
Oh, okay. So not long ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had to do it online. It was a 6 month long intensive course.
And was it from the UK government? Where was it? International?
No, so at that time we were in Saudi.
Oh.
So we had some friends who'd done the course and they introduced us. And it's basically called a PTCC course, Parent Teacher Certificate course. And it's really interesting because we went on the course to learn how to do the tarbiyah of our parents. But what we discovered is we don't need to be worried about the tarbiyah of our parents. What we need to be worried about is actually our own tarbiyah. Because what we were trying to teach our kids, we would never be able to achieve because we weren't familiar on, for example, what parenting is. We were just copying our parents, what we learned in school, in madrasa, and that's what we were replicating.
Like, that's what, like somebody said it. Kids won't listen to everything you tell them, but they'll do everything you do.
Absolutely, subhanAllah.
So basically, you can, until you don't do it, they're not gonna.
Yeah.
And that's the dua as well of the pious people, which Allah mentions in the Quran. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. That Allah make our wives and our children the coolness of our eyes, and make us the Imam of the Muttaqeen. So, meaning that if I want my children to be muttaqeen, I need to be the Imam. I need to be ahead of them. I need to show them how to be muttaqeen, like how the Imam showed you how to read Salah. The parents should show the children how to go to Jannah. So, mashallah, Brother Imran, mashallah, I believe, mashallah, you have some MyTarbiyah.
So when we finished the course and then we came back to the UK, so it still is, my dream to convey what I have learnt to parents, because I'm seeing this in madrasas, in schools, in the community. I mean, there's lots of people coming and discussing this. So I thought, you know what, alhamdulillah, Allah's given me this opportunity to learn all these things and I need to pass it on. So that's when I set up my sort of, you can say, website organization called MyTarbiyah.com. And we've done some programs in Hashim as well.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah.
In the community, we've done some programs.
And they have been very well, mashallah, very
well received.
Well done, mashallah. Yeah, well received. I've participated in most of them nearly, and to be personally, I've benefited a lot, like, mashallah. And I've spoken to a few other people. So, I think what parents nowadays, what they actually is at the beginning when a child is born, then at that moment in time they just maybe don't have no idea of parenting. Sometimes they just want to just spoil the child, or like maybe just give in to everything. And then when it goes beyond the age where it's, they say in Urdu, they say jab sar se upar pani chal gaya. When it's gone beyond, then they want to take, I want my child to become sorted now. I want him to come on track.
When they've already crossed that threshold.
Yeah. And by that time, sometimes it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
So then you can't control them.
You can't. Yeah.
Can't say no.
Yeah.
They won't listen. What do you do then?
Yeah. So I think, subhanallah, it's a G, because the system that we go through, whether it's the sort of the Western education system or our like madrasas, whatever, society takes you and it will teach you how to get a degree. It will teach you how to please your boss. It will teach you how to make money, but it won't teach you how to be a parent. It won't teach you how to nurture. You'll be subhanallah,
how to be a good human.
How to be a good human.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll know how to. You can go into courses where you can coach your team members to get the most out of them. To understand KPIs and improve the business, but you can't apply those principles to your kids. Because it's different, because it's constantly changing. When the baby is born, they can't talk, they can't walk, they can't do anything. And then you need a different level of patience. You need a different level, a different mindset, ideology, and and then they're constantly changing, like day by day. Whereas at work, if you don't like someone, what do? You give them a warning, 1, 2, 3, out. Let's hire someone else. You can't do that with kids. So I think this is one thing which I think where a lot of parents need to understand, and this is what I understood is, mashallah, we have kids and we say we recite this dua, Ya Allah, make the kids the coolness of our eyes, but the dua isn't enough.
Sure.
You need to learn how to nurture them to make them the coolness of your eyes.
No, definitely. Like what I see a lot is the parents at this moment, like in this day and age, there are a lot of different challenges out there, a lot of different temptations and whatever different influences out there which the child can get into. So the parents know that all these issues are there, and they want to do something about it as well, but they don't know what to do. Sometimes, so they know that my child is, shouldn't be doing this or he should be doing this, but they don't know how to tackle it sometimes. Because sometimes they think that if I say like this, the child might react in a different way or say like this. So I think a lot of the issues parents have is mainly teenagers. I don't know what you feel like from the until the child is about 10, 11, then the child is like, okay, it's controllable. But when the child goes beyond that, and especially if he's going to a state school or where he's there for like 6-7 hours, he's got a lot of friends, he's made some friends, we don't know what type of friends he's made. Now what is he going to bring back home? So parents need to, what do you think, what advice do you think?
I think with this, Maulana, you're absolutely right, because the teenage years is when the child has the ability, or they start to grow a conscience.
They make or break.
They make or break. But see, they go, and then that's when they are no longer with their parents. Okay, they're with their friends, and they start becoming disconnected with their parents, and they find new friends. See, at home, parents can control you up until about 9, 10, 11. But after 12, 13, they become teenagers. Then they have a voice. Okay. Then they have opinions. They have feelings, and then there's the rationale kicks in. So then they will then come and argue back. And that's where parents feel like they're losing them.
So let me ask you this. You said you wanted to homeschool at a very young age. You wanted to homeschool them. What is your biggest fear? Not being influenced by others, or being influenced by others other than yourself? Was that your biggest fear?
That was absolutely.
And
because
at a young age, right, when you're 3, 4, 5, is it the teachers you're more scared of, or is it the students? Because they're also kids. Who are you more scared of when they're 3, 4, and 5?
I think when kids are young, unfortunately nowadays, kids are scared of their own parents.
You think so? They're scared?
They won't be able to
They have that
express
a bit of it, a little bit.
Yeah. See, with tarbiyah, I think it's really important that we define tarbiyah. What a lot of parents think is, if my child listens to my commands and orders, I've been a good parent. Okay? Yani, I have full authority over them. So I've done my job. I'm a good parent. Yeah, full control. Because then that's what happens. When they become a teenager, then you lose that control. So tarbiyah is not that because I am telling my kids to do right or wrong, and I'm telling them to stand up, they're going to stand up. And then you say, oh look, my kids are so well behaved because they always listen to me.
But that's what we need to make it clear in it. Tarbiyah does not mean to control.
Yeah, tarbiyah is not parental control. Tarbiyah is not where kids will do what you say. Tarbiyah is the child grows a conscience, and he becomes conscious that I need to listen to my parents because I love them, and because this is the hukam of Allah.
Subhanallah.
That's the missing element. I mean, this is what a lot of kids, I've heard kids say as well, that my father is asking me to pray namaz, and he punishes me and he tells me off and he's telling me all these hadith about namaz and stuff, but I've never seen him get up for fajr himself.
Yeah.
I mean, that father who's constantly instilling the fear of Allah in me
doesn't fear Allah himself.
And as a child, in the teenage years, he begins to make these connections, and he's thinking, it's all hypocrisy. Like
the other day, when father came to the madrasa and he's telling me about his son, that my son, please talk to him. He doesn't listen to me, etc. So in a nice way, I just told him the masala. I'll tell him as well, but how much are you following the deen? So in a way, in the beginning he took it a bit offensive as well. I'm trying to tell you to sort my kid out. Why you want me? Yeah. But I said, look, if you listen to Allah, then your kid will automatically listen to you. Allah mentions about Luqman alayhi salam in the Quran. There's a whole surah named after Luqman alayhi salam. He was like a wise person. He was a prophet of Allah. But Allah has mentioned some of his wisdoms in the Quran as well. And the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned some in his hadith, and you find them in other narrations. So Allah starts off by saying that we gave Luqman alayhi salam wisdom. And then Allah starts quoting one of the advice of Luqman alayhi salam. Allah says, when Luqman alayhi salam said to his son, Ya bunayya la tushrik billah, O my son, don't ascribe partners with Allah. Inna shirka la zulmun azim. In this shirk is the greatest zulm. Then instead of carrying on with the advice of Luqman alayhi salam, Allah puts his own advice. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. That we have advised insan, in human, to be good to his parents. Then the next two verses about parents, Allah is advising, and then Allah continues the advice of Luqman alayhi salam. Ya bunayya innaha in takum mithqala habba ya bunayya aqim as-salah. So the Mufassirin, Allah Mashabir Ahmad Uthmani mentions the amazing point here. He says, Allah starts off with the advice of Luqman alayhi salam, then Allah puts his own advice in the middle, then Allah continues the advice of Luqman alayhi salam. So he said, when Luqman alayhi salam took it upon himself to remind his son of his duty to Allah, Allah took it upon himself to remind the son of his duty to his parents. An amazing point, So when our focus is Allah, if our focus is not just us, me, myself, listen to me, what I say, focus should be Allah. See?
And see, I think on that focus, what the child sees is my parents respect me when I get good results. So my value is based on my results in. My value is not based on me that I am this person's son or I am the creation of Allah.
Say.
You know, and that's what the kids begin to see, that my value is based on the dunyawi, the worldly criteria.
And later on, how much money I bring in, and
and that's it. And that's where I think kids then become astray. You know, Maulana, you just said that thing that you asked the father, how much do you follow the deen? I think a really important question here is to ask or elaborate what goes through a person's mind when you ask that question. So immediately, I mean, the way I used to feel is when someone asks me how deendar you are, I'm going to think, am I wearing the jubba? Do I have a beard? Do I come for namaz? That is definitely a part of deen. But the deen that we're referring to in this context is, I think, is how much do you listen to Allah? So Allah Ta'ala told you not to lie. Okay? But have you been lying in front of your kids to avoid a parking fine? Have you been lying, in front of your kids to, like, on your CV to get a promotion? Because that's what the kids are seeing. So there needs to be this thing where I think, when it comes to parenting, a lot of it is like role modeling. So TK there, the kids are seeing the parents coming to the masjid, TK, but are the kids seeing the parents park their car properly? And then the father, I mean, I think this is what really helped me understand this, is when I was vocal in front of my child, like in front of Yusuf, when I said, like, I've parked my car and like maybe I've parked in front of a driver, in front of someone else, I said, you know what, I can't park here. So he's like, Baba, why? I said, I can't park here because I cannot give taklif, cause trouble to the makhluk, because I'm going to be questioned about this on the day of judgment.
Subhanallah.
So now he's like, are we going to be questioned about this? So automatically here then, we're instilling that, look, there is an akhirat, that I'm going to die one day. Now the kid's thinking, you know what, I need to be worried about my death and akhirat as well. So that is where the depth of deen comes in. So I think a lot of this, it's about role modeling and being vocal. So a lot of things we do and we're not vocal, we don't even know why we're doing it. Why am I driving slow? I'm not driving slow because I'm scared of the police camera or getting points. I'm scared because I'm breaking the law, and B, if I harm someone, what answer am I going to give to Allah?
No, so true. Like, in terms of, you made something really amazing points about Allah. Like, I've been involved in madrasa teaching for the last over a decade. Dealing with students, parents, whatever. So what I have seen in my observation is that parents will only respect you as much as the parents respect you. So the parents, the more respect they have for the ustad or for the madrasa or for the Quran, the kids will automatically have that same amount of respect. No, I can't do like that to the ustad. My father never does that. I can't do like that with the Quran. My father never does this. My parents will not allow me. They never do it themselves.
I can't speak namaz in the mosque because my father never skips namaz in the mosque. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, if you take
like one parent, he was shouting at one of those stars. And then he's shouting at his kids that you dare talk to those stars like that. I'm thinking like, what a joke here.
You know where I learned this. So as part of the course, we were told that do you want your kids to read? We're like, yeah, of course. So what do? We tell them to read. So what he said was, look, stop telling your kids to read.
Start reading.
You start reading yourself.
Subhanallah.
And subhanallah, we did this at home. So we started reading. Like on a morning, we'd get up before the kids would get up. So we're reading. Now the kids are coming and they're like, Baba, what are you reading? So I'm just reading a book. Oh, can I sit next to you? So because they're inquisitive and they're saying, what are you reading? I'm reading this. So this happened a couple of days. And then they were like, oh, can I read instead? So now they're automatically reading. And like on the back of this, what they said was, well, it was Ajib. He said, in your sitting room, you've got a fireplace. What's on your fireplace? If it's trophies, medals, pictures, Okay. When a child comes close to that, what do? You stop them. You say, don't you dare touch that, or make sure you don't break it. And Khuda na khasta, if you do break it, what happens? You start shouting. What's the message that the kid's getting? The kid is getting the message.
It's all about medals and
so there's materialistic things have
achievements,
value, and my parents are prepared to insult me, shout at me, punish me,
degrade me because you're harming the materialistic goods.
Okay. So he goes, that's what you're role modeling. Already from a young age, you're role modeling that these things have value, but insan, feelings, emotions, relationships have no value.
I think this is where favoritism comes in as well. Where a good son has loads of medals, favorite son which doesn't have loads of medals, but might be a good person,
Doesn't have
favoritism.
So this is where the whole thing comes in, right? So you're distracting them away from deen to dunya. So he said this, he goes, look, if you value reading so much, replace all those medals with books. What's the most they're going to do? They might rip one book, but don't say anything. So, yani, have the books within reach. Okay, books on the top shelf, and we say this with the Quran as well, right? The Quran is on the top. Have the Quran there, have the book there. You read, and automatically they'll read. So they did that with reading and writing as well. If you want your kids to write, you need to write as well. You write in front of them, and the kids are like, Baba, what are you writing? Oh, I'm just writing my reflections or a journal. And they're like, can I have a piece of paper as well? So I'm talking about like young kids over here. So teenagers, I think teenagers, it's like you said, it becomes too late. This thing has to start from a very young age. Then in teenage years, there's different challenges, but you can tackle them.
I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the biggest success you can have as a parent when you have a teenager is having the presence of a parent amongst a teenager without the parent being there. Like, that's what I think is being a successful parent, is having you there without you being there.
So he's conscious.
Conscious.
My parents will not allow me to be here, or would not like me to say this or do this.
So how do you get to that stage?
You get to that stage by, one, loving your parents a lot, not making them upset. Second thing is that what I feel like having a deep connection with your parents, having like sitting with them, talking with them, and having just a loving family. Third thing I think is realizing that you always have your actions have consequences, and your actions have to be checked. You have to make sure what you're doing is right.
Yeah. So, but I think you're saying here, so the child needs to love the parents, right? The child has to have respect. But how do you instill that love and respect in the child? How do you get them to that position where they're able to respect you?
That's where you come along. You tell me.
So I think, again, so I'm talking from experience. So there was one child that came. So we will explain the theory behind it. But when you see the practical demonstration of this, that's when you realize. So there's one guy that came, and he said to me, he was a teenager, mashallah, hafiz al-Quran, and he said, I want to get married. He's about 14, 15 years old. So I said, mashallah, it's a good intention, but why do you want to get married at such a young age? So he said, because I want to stop myself from sin, from haram. And I was like, that's an amazing intention to have. Like in this day and age, for a teenager to say, I want to stop myself from sinning because I love Allah so much. So I said, okay, let's talk to your parents. So his response was, oh, no, don't talk to my father. I was like, why? He goes, because I already spoke to him. I said, and? He goes, he beat me up. He said, is this the age to get married in? You need to focus on your GCSEs, and then you're going to do A-levels. Then you need to, carry on my legacy.
College, uni.
And business and money. And then once you're stable, then get married. So
don't even think about it till you're 24, 25.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So then I said to him, okay, and then he said, and then I said to him, okay, so have you spoke to your mother? He goes, oh, no, you can't speak to my mother as well.
So who do you speak to?
I said, why? He said, because when I spoke to my mother, she went out and told my dad, and he was round 2. So, you know what I thought then? Because I knew the family as well. At that time, the child had a very good connection with his father. But when the father, responded in this way, the child said, I cannot go to my father for advice anymore because I'm going to get beat up.
True.
So then I said to him, okay, where did this idea of marriage come from? He said that I spoke to my friends. So what parents are doing is they have the perfect opportunity to listen to their kids and advise them.
They're pushing
like
them away.
Luqman alayhi salam, right? But they're not doing it because of their poor temperament, because of the bad akhlaqi. Kids are like, I'm being insulted over here.
Getting pushed away, going somewhere else.
And then where will the kids go? Kids will go to Sheikh Google, Professor YouTube,
Mr. Wikipedia, and that's it. We've lost the kids. So asal mein, like you said, how will the child learn to love the parents when the parent becomes loving? Is that what you're getting to?
Absolutely. So one thing that Mr. Salman always says is in Urdu, he said the phrase that needs to be on our tongue is "Tum jaise bhi ho, mere ho."
Subhanallah.
तुमने झूठ बोला तुम मेरे हो, तुमने चोरी की तुम मेरे हो, तुमसे जिना हो गया तुम मेरे हो. And this is exactly the love that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Sahabas come to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, Ya Rasulullah, I've committed zina? What did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam do? He didn't shun them, shout at them and turn them away. And see, I think the thing we have to think is, why were the Sahaba so comfortable in approaching Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because that was his policy. Tum jaise bhi ho,
come to
mere
me.
ho.
Yeah.
Yani it's okay, you can discuss anything. I won't judge you, I won't punish you, I'm not going to scold you, I'm not going to tell your sin to family members. Oh, guess what my kid did today? Let me tell you. For the parents, it turns into a story, but for the child, it harms so what we say is izzat nafs. It harms their ego, it harms their
self, dignity.
So that nurturing love has to come from the parents. I think this is where, because we were talking about tarbiyah, that's why I called it MyTarbiyah.
Because it's your
own tarbiyah.
The parents' tarbiyah.
It's my tarbiyah. It's not the tarbiyah of the kids. Kids are innocent. They will love their parents no matter what. I mean, when we were all growing up, I definitely got beat up. Right? Our ustads beat us up as well.
Yeah.
But we still return to our parents. Why? Because that's the love which Allah Ta'ala has given. You know, the fitrat.
True.
Allah Ta'ala has already given the child this default setting that no matter what your parents do, the child always goes back to the parent. Now just imagine what torment the child must have been put through for the child to go against the fitrat and start hating their parents. Yani the parents must have done something serious.
True.
That's my tarbiyah. What is it that I am doing that my kids are not coming to me for advice?
Subhanallah.
What is it that I'm doing that my kids are not coming to me when they're upset and they're going to somewhere else? They're clearly not finding the peace and comfort and safety. And again, Sayyidina Salman says this as well. That, when a child hits their teenage years, you need to have hugged your child at least 10,000 times.
Subhanallah.
You need to have said to them at least 5,000 times, I love you. Are you okay? I care for you. And I think is it Mufti Sahib came a few months ago, and he said, I think this is a cultural thing, that we don't like to hug our kids.
One Eid, second Eid.
That's it. One Eid, second Eid, yeah.
2 times a year. The way off the mark. The way off the mark.
That's it.
And you'll see.
And
the Prophet ﷺ was hugging Hassan radiallahu anhu, he was kissing them. So one Sahabi was there, so he said, do you actually do this? He said, yeah. Look, I'm kissing, embracing. So he said, I have 10 children, I never do that. So the Prophet ﷺ said, what could I do if Allah has taken the love out of your heart? And once the Prophet ﷺ in his house, he was like, acting like a horse, a ride or something, and his grandchildren were on his back, and he was just being like an animal for them. And the Sahabi walked in and he said, wow, look what the Prophet lies up to, he's on his knees here. The kids on top of him. Yeah. In our houses, he said, so the guy is saying that we've got a really good mount. So the Prophet ﷺ said to the kids, answer you, even people mounting are also very good. The youth of Jannah, the leader of the youth of Jannah. So subhanallah. So we need to learn a lot from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. MashaAllah. like one thing we realize is that, especially in these years, the child only looks at the father or the parents sometimes, just as an ATM machine. He only talks to them when he needs money. So either he'll go to his dad, I'll talk to him, no, I need money. So or he'll go to his mom and tell dad to give me money. That's
not ask your mum.
Yeah, no, mother's the maid, isn't she? She's the maid, she's the chef.
So there's no other contact besides that. They'll do everything outside, they'll have other contact, they'll get advice from everywhere else. Only when they need money,
they'll come to the parents. I think we were discussing this the other day as well. As parents, we brought that upon ourselves. We think that our role as parents is, I need to earn money, and I need to provide a roof, and I need to provide food. That is part of the responsibility, Maulana, right? That's part of the responsibility. But it's part of the responsibility.
Not the full, yeah.
The full responsibility is probably the ayat of the Quran, correct me if I'm wrong. Qu anfusikum wa ahlikum nara. So save your, you can translate
save
that.
yourself and your family from the fire of Jahannam.
So again, we're so concerned about saving them from the fire of Jahannam. Have I even saved myself? But the order is, I need to save myself first.
True. And
then my family comes. I don't think Allah is going to ask us a question like, did you provide your children a 5-bedroom house? How many en-suites did you have? I don't think that's going to be the question.
Like I was just mentioning a few, I think last week or the week before in one of the talks that, we are just worried about money, and our children are just focusing, even if they do go into, most of the kids, they don't want to study nowadays. Yeah. We ask the kids, in madrasa, do you want to become a hafiz? They say, no, I don't want to become a hafiz. What if I forget the Quran? Yeah. So, what do you want to do? I don't want to do alim class, it's too long. What do you actually want to do? He says, I don't know what I want to do. In terms of school as well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to college, university? I don't want to do medicine because it's like this. I don't want to do account. So what do you actually want to do? They don't know what they want to do. Yeah. And even if they do go into one of the, some subject, or they actually move on to university, the focus is just money. Just money. Alladhi jama'a ma'lahu wa addada. Allah says, they're just gathering money and just counting money. That's all they do. There's nothing more to life than this. As if life is all about that. So, give the example of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah. The kings before him, Suleiman, Hisham and all these other kings, his brother-in-laws who were the leaders before him, when they passed away, they left thousands of dinar and dirham behind for the children. Yeah. And on the other hand, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah, he left behind not even one dinar for his children. Barely. He had about 12 children. And he left behind about 14 or something dinar. So somebody went into the the people doing the digging of the grave and the coffin and all that. So each child just barely did even get one full dinar. So the people, when he was dying, the people around him, they asked him, and look at all these other people, they've left thousands behind, and you are leader of the ummah as well. You could have left. They said, look, I had two options. I could have left thousands behind for them. Yeah. And maybe it's not even my own money. It's money of the public. Or I just make them pious. I just show them the way to piety. And Allah has promised, وَهُوَ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّالِحِينَ, Allah will look after the pious people. Yeah. So the world saw, not long after, about a few years down the line, the world saw that those kids whose parents had left behind thousands for them, they were begging on the streets. And those kids, like Abdul Aziz kids, who their father just barely left behind, I think just not even one dinar, they became the governors of the area. How the table turned. Yeah. Because, the Umayyad came to an end, the Abbasid. If we read history, we know all these things. So, wealth should be the least thing about. Wealth is something which will come and go. which will come and go. Like one of our study was mentioning, like he's about 50 something years old now, I think. Maybe like our study himself, he must be in his 50s. And his father must be in his late 70s, maybe nearly 80. But he said, until today, my father still phones me randomly. He says, today, where did you read the Fajr? I never saw you in that masjid. Which masjid did you read the Fajr today? Now, he's 50 years old. He's got his own kids, so because he's got teaching so many students, yeah. Big ustad. Yeah. But to his father, he's still a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, how much Quran do you read today? Yes, son. So he said, his father is still worried about these things. Today, when it comes to money, dunya, everything, we are very particular. You know, what job he's got, has he got his house or not? But like, how is his connection with Allah? How did he earn the money? Did he earn it in a halal way? How much Quran is he reading every day? How much, how much is he dealing with the rest of the creation of Allah? All these things. So, we need to focus more on the akhirah. I think we have become, like you mentioned at the beginning, materialistic. So, I don't know, one of the things we have today, I don't know what you would like to say, is for parents, or like, to be honest, even before parenting, a person, he came to one pious person, I forgot his name, I was reading it not long ago. He came to him and he said, can you advise me about how to give my child a good upbringing? Says, how old is the child? He says, about 2 or 3 months old. Says, you've delayed it. You should have, even before conception, long time, you should have been already planned it from before. So you're already late. He's only 2 or 3 months old, yeah. So, what advice would you give to parents or young parents or some parents in terms of how to tackle the issues of today? What they should do? Any courses they could go up to, or any advice you can give them particularly?
I think the first thing which we all have to understand is we need to get out of the mindset of outsourcing. When my kid needs to learn something, I need to outsource to a teacher, to a Maulana, to a Qari Sahib. Like, everything is outsourced. We have to understand this is my responsibility. Because once a person realizes that it's my responsibility, then that person will make the time to go and study. At the moment, it's like, because I have money, I'm not going to bother studying. I'll just pay this guy and he'll take care of it. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the children to a parent.
True.
Not because he was an ATM machine, because the best person to do the tarbiyah
is the parent.
Because I said, again, going back to the love. If an ustad if a teacher shouts or scolds or hits a student, the student will immediately lose respect. But when a parent does that to the child always comes back. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala has created that bond. So here Allah Ta'ala is saying, you are the best person to nurture this child.
Sure.
So number one is realize that I think it's my responsibility and I cannot constantly outsource. Now there's going to be certain, for example, you want to teach your child tajweed. I think, is it not every single person's need to learn tajweed themselves?
True. It's true. Yeah.
So, I think I shared this story earlier as well. When Thueba was born, I went to Qari Sahib and I said, Qari Sahib, I want you to be the first teacher for my daughter and teach her tajweed. So he turned around to me and said, but how's your tajweed? Because he'd been teaching me. And I said, no, my tajweed is good. So he says, why are you outsourcing to me? I don't mind taking your daughter on. I will get all the reward for every single time she prays the Quran for the rest of her life.
Subhanallah.
But Allah Ta'ala gave the daughter to you. This is your chance for Sadqa Jariyah. Why do you want to give it away? And that's when I realized that I'm just outsourcing. What's my role? It's not ATM, I need to teach. So we need to get out of this mindset of outsourcing. I need to take on responsibility myself. There may be certain, specific difficult topics where we need to refer to ulama and we need to refer to teachers, okay? But the prime responsibility is the parents. A, get out of the outsourcing mindset. B, find the time to study. I think a lot of people now are just so busy in if we sort of really look at it, they're so busy in spending time doing useless things
True.
that they don't have time to study. Why? Because they've got themselves into a financing agreement, or they've set themselves such high standards to earn so much money that in the pursuit of acquiring money, you do not have time for your kids. Never mind your kids.
Priorities.
You don't have time to improve yourself.
True.
You will improve yourself on to help you achieve your financial objectives, but we're not prepared to improve ourselves to achieve our akhirat objectives.
Subhanallah. Yeah.
You know, we're not prepared to find the time. That comes down to lifestyle. So the lifestyle we're living is, we need designer clothes, we need the best food, we need the best car. All that comes at a price. So we need to spend money, and to earn money, we need to work. And to work, you need to be out of the house most days. So you don't have time for your wife and kids, and you don't have time to study.
True.
So that's why we need to look at our choices, and this is something which we always discuss about. We have to ask ourselves, is this my want or is this my need? My need is a roof, my need is basic food. My want and my desire is a takeout. Yani, and to get a takeout, you need to have money, and to have money, you need to... So
True.
if we can simplify our lifestyles, be content with the little that we have, automatically you have time. Then you can study, you can spend more time with family, and that's where the journey starts. You know, it's, you start working on yourself. It's like, you know, if a child asks us a question like, Baba, what's happening in Palestine? Okay, why are they doing this? How many parents can give a good, intellectual, convincing answer to their kids? Right?
No, true.
Most can't. And what will they do? There's a workshop in the local madrasa. Let's take our kids there.
Yeah.
Okay, or let's watch a video. So, but
what am I doing? Yeah, he's asking
what
me.
Are you doing?
Yeah, true.
Okay, if you want to ask me for when are we going to Egypt, I can tell you then. You know, we're going on a holiday. I have the answer to that. How much money do you have, Baba? Yeah, I can provide you with those answers. But anything intellectual, Baba, why are innocent people dying in Palestine?
I don't know. Ask BBC.
It's not even that. Why are you asking such a silly question? Don't you know everyone's going through a test? That's not a convincing answer for the child. The child here is genuinely, out of his innocence and fitrat, trying to understand the purpose of life. And because the parents haven't understood it, they can't convince their kids, and later on the kids will go, because this happened to me when I went to university, Malala. I was faced with so many difficult questions from Muslims and non-Muslims that I started to doubt my faith. I was like, that's a really good question. Why is why is this in my religion? And it's because, unfortunately, when I asked those questions when I was young, I wasn't given a convincing answer, or I was referred to someone, and now I found myself lost. That's it. You're like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Alhamdulillah, and I think this is very important, Maulana, which I had to say. You know, when we talked about the connection, okay, there was Mufti Zakaria.
MashaAllah.
When I went to him with any question, I think, you know, he's the head teacher and he's busy. He had an open door policy.
MashaAllah.
And he would welcome me in, and he wouldn't judge me at all. And I used to ask some crazy questions.
MashaAllah.
But he would spend the time and explain it to me. And, you know, see, it's people like this who give you the time, who are non-judgmental, that win your heart.
True.
Then you go and find answers to your questions from these people.
True.
So, as a parent, do I have the free time? Do I have the knowledge? And then I think I'd say this to all our ulama, teachers who are learned, is, do we have an open door policy? Because if we don't, then these kids will find Google is open 24/7. YouTube is open 24/7.
There's a lot of other options, yeah.
ChatGPT is open 24/7, where they know they're not going to be judged.
Yeah.
And this is where
whether they'll get the right advice or not. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that's it. But they'll get it. Oh, you know what? This sounds like a really convincing, intellectual, answer. I'm going to follow this. I mean, I've had kids come to me. I was mentoring one kid, Maulana, and he said that I would rather go and speak to my teachers in school. You know why? Because when I failed my test in school, my teachers will do is they might, put me in the corner and give me a few lines. Okay? But then they call my parents, and you know what my parents do? They beat me up. My parents tell me off. They make me feel so small.
Yeah. They humiliate you.
Yeah. So
disgrace you.
So my school teachers are actually more loving and kind and caring than my parents.
True. No, we really need to understand, that our child is still valuable, whether he's got the grace or not, whether he's got the money or not. At the end of the day, I was just speaking to some people the other day. I said, SubhanAllah, we look at all these great Imams. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, Imam Shafi rahimahullah. Imam Shafi rahimahullah, his mother was a single mother. His father passed away when he was very young. He didn't even have any money. He said, I couldn't even afford the pen and the paper to write on. That's how poor he was. Like, he said, I couldn't afford the pen and paper in those days, so I just borrowed the book, Muwatta Imam Malik, which was the only book of hadith in those days, from one of my classmates. And I told him that, can I borrow your book? So he said, how long? So he said, okay, give me about 10 days. So within 9 days, I memorized the whole book. 2,000 hadith, imagine. No. Memory. At the age of 9, he memorized the whole book in 9 days and gave it back to him because he could afford pen and paper to copy it. And, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, single mother. SubhanAllah, what vision he must have had, nurturing the child to where they were. And even people like Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah, at this moment of Palestine, everybody, saying where the Salahuddin of today. You all came from the parents. You all came from that type of, mindset, upbringing, from behind, with what vision he was, nurtured. From the age of 12, Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah had a vision that I want to liberate Aqsa. Now, his parents built that in him, and then the rest of his life was just, focused in how to bring that vision come to, fruition. So, we don't remember any of these great people, personalities for their money. We don't remember any of them all we remember them is for the good work they have done for the other creation of Allah. The way they helped other people, the way they taught other people, the knowledge they spread. We don't know which house they lived in. We don't know how much money they had. We don't know, any of these things. All we know is, mashallah, the good things that they did. The rich people that were there in those days, nobody remembers them. Yeah. So, we really need to, build our children for the next generation. Like, we need to understand that I'll be around in this world maybe for the next, Allah knows how long, maybe 10 years, 20 years. This child, most likely, if Allah has written, life for him, he'll be around for at least for another 40, 50, 60 years. So he'll continue living after me for at least, maybe inshallah, for another 20, 30, 40 years. Now, what type of life is he going to live then?
Well, can I pause you there?
Oh, sorry.
I think we need to go back a step on that.
Okay.
I think, Wakim, that you're absolutely right. I think the question should be, the parents should be asking is, what answer am I going to give to Allah when He asks me, what did you do for your child? Once we have that, it's my responsibility. What's going to happen to them? What answer am I going to give? I think that is where it needs to start from.
The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, all of you are shepherds, and all of you will be asked about your flock on the day of Qiyamah. So Allah will ask you. Allah will ask, the parents about the children. Allah will ask the children about the parents. Allah will ask the boss about the workers. Allah will ask the workers about the boss. Allah will ask the teacher about the students. Allah will ask the students about the ustaz. So everybody will be asked about each other. And Allah will ask me how you just mentioned, how did I look after this kid?
Yeah.
Like, there are so many people in this world who don't have kids, who struggle to have kids. They go through so much treatment and so much different type of, things, they have, whatever they do, just so they can have children. Even then, sometimes they have children, sometimes they don't have children. Allah blesses. So we need to understand children are a very big blessing. And يوصيكم الله في أولادكم. Allah is saying that Allah is advising you in regards to your own children. So like, we look at the community today. Like one day I was just walking down just came out of the masjid one of the afternoon, and I was just walking down the road, and then one random guy he said, "Are you from the masjid?" So I said, "Yeah." So he just got me on the side. I need to talk to you. So I said, "Yeah. What would you like to say?" So then he started saying, "All these masjids and all these maulanas and everybody, look what's happening to our community. What are these guys doing? These guys are. Do you think it's a need for all these masjids and all these maulanas and everything?" And probably like having a go, yeah? Like he'll try to like take all the put all the masjids and all the ulama and everybody the blame of everything. I said, look, we can only help those who actually come to us. The doctor will only help those who actually go to see the doctor. Yeah. Now, so similarly, the masajid are there, the ulama are there to help whatever way we can. But at the end of the day, we need to go to them. And it all comes down to, like, you just mentioned parenting. The way the parents are, the way we'll see the generations. What do you think?
No, absolutely.
Like Ali radiallahu anhu, in his time there was a lot of different problems that came in the ummah. So somebody came to him and he said, when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was the leader, Umar radiallahu anhu was the leader, when these people were like ruling, we never saw the issues that we are seeing today. So Ali radiallahu anhu said, they used to rule over people like me. Now I need to rule over people like you. So it all comes down to, so people say that, what can we do about these, issues that we have in our community, drug issues and deal issues and whatever other issues that we have in our community. I said, we need to really talk to their parents. We really need to, because, yeah, we can help the child as much as we can as well, or we can help that youngster, whatever we can. But for that thing to really, have a really strong effect, parenting. And it all comes down, like when a child is born, why do we give the adhan? The first thing we do in the ears is the adhan. The name of Allah, like the most important thing in your life is Allah. The most important thing in your life is, should be Allah and His commandments and everything. So that's the first thing we put in the ears of that. Now that child doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know anything. He's just come into the world. But subhanAllah, from that day, we've started instilling in him, the right things. So we need to build on it. The Prophet ﷺ says, the child is born fitra, pure. Like you mentioned, children are very innocent. It's the parents who either make him a Muslim, or they either make him a, Christian or Jew or whatever, they take him in those directions. Yeah. Otherwise, the children are just born pure. They just, whichever way you go, they just follow you. So, any advice, any other questions, Brother Sabit, or you would like to ask?
I think you guys have said all that's said to say, to be honest. I have to say.
I think with this whole parenting issue, I mean, even like on this case of Palestine, if I'm allowed to speak on this, there's lots of events happening when it comes to Palestine and stuff. True. Now, what is it that I am teaching my child? And this, there's the I think this is a hadith. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the ummah is like one body.
True.
So if one part of the body is in pain, then the rest of it does as well. So I was just sort of thinking about this, and I was thinking, if one part of my body hurts, then I'm going to take action.
True.
Okay, that's the body. Now, if I love my parents, and I love my parents a lot, now the moment they feel distressed, automatically I become distressed as well.
True.
Now, what happens is I start to lose my sleep and my appetite. Why? Because my parents are under stress. And there's moments where, people will cry for them, they'll make dua for them, they'll give sadaqah. Why? Because they're our parents. So I think over here, the hadith, we're still within the the safe zone of the hadith, because our parents are feeling ummat, right? Our parents are feeling pain, so we're feeling pain. So we've given up our food and drink, and we're making dua for them. When it comes to your best friend, there's a youngster who passed away, and I saw lots of his friends were really upset and they were distressed. And you could tell that, this is one ummat over here. And I was speaking to one youngster, and you could tell that he hadn't eaten and he didn't want to talk to anyone. Okay, so over there again, I felt that this hadith is still in action. That the Muslim ummah is feeling it. But when it comes to Palestine, what are we demonstrating to our kids?
True.
How many of us sat down and cried? How many of us sat down and made dua? Instead, like I said, and again, please take this, in the spirit of things. When my father was upset, because lately he's been unwell. I've lost my appetite. I've lost my appetite. Did we lose our appetite when this was happening in Palestine?
Allah.
But it's ajib. People's appetite is increasing. You know why? Come, eat,
and then give the money.
And give the money.
Day of giving.
So the kids are seeing that it's okay. People are dying on the other side of the world. Let's go eat to our fill, have a good time, and we'll just donate the money. That goes against the spirit of this hadith, and this is exactly what we're teaching our kids. So our kids are like, it's okay to eat and have a good time. All they need is money. Here, take the money and that's it. But that is not what the deen or the hadith is demanding from us.
No, very good point. Yeah.
So again, what are we as parents role modeling? It's actually MyTarbiyah. I'm thinking that this is okay, and the kids, because what's going to happen is they're going to water it down, and it's just going to get worse as the generations go on.
True.
So this is where we really have to find the time to reflect on everything that we do and ask ourselves, what did my Nabi say? Does it fit the criteria or not? Or is this just another gimmick? Is this just another trend which is happening around the world and we're following? We really have to, focus on this.
Like many people, they want to change the world. Yeah. They have a vision that, this is already going on. But the change starts from within. One day it was Friday today. So normally on a Friday, the Imams in the morning, they always stressed out. In Jummah, what we're going to say, what we're going to do. Like you get the biggest crowds who never come the whole week. They will see them in Jummah, mashallah. Today, as I was mentioning earlier, we had one of the biggest crowds, mashallah. So one day the Imam was trying to prepare his talk, and his child was taking his books away and, not giving him a bit of time. So the Imam thought that I need to, occupy this child into something. So he got a world map of the world, and he just broke into some pieces and he said, okay, sort this out. So he thought maybe he'll take the child an hour. By that time I'll, have my khutbah, everything prepared. Within 2-3 minutes, the child already had it done, sorted. So he came to the father and he said, I've sorted it out. He said, how do you manage that? He says, oh, you never saw the other side of the map. It was a human. So I just put the hands together and just put the legs together and the head together, and it just became a body. So the father said, oh, you've given me a topic for today. He said, when humans are together, the world is together. When humans are apart, the world is apart. So when insan ek ho jaye, so subhanallah. So I think we can say a lot. Parenting is not just one podcast or one thing, but it's a lifelong thing. I believe it's not like just to go on certain classes or courses or something. It's a whole lifestyle, like you mentioned. It's not just about, it's about changing a whole, from the day you become a parent, so you're going to become a parent, so you need to understand that now I need to really be worried about what I am doing, because if I am on the right track, these people will be on the right track. The next generation. If I'm not on the right track, then that's it. How can I expect these people to be on the right track? So Allah give all of us the ability to. Any final words from anybody?
No,
Inshallah.
no. I would say one thing. I just want to say thank you for being here, because you have given me some insightful words that I'm going to take away from this podcast. So thank you for listening. And thank you once again, Imran, for coming over, and thank you, Maulana Khabab. Jazakallah khair. Allah Hafiz.
Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.